Thank you, Dr. Edwards, and honored guests. I am greatly humbled by being asked to speak at this somber anniversary commemorating 5 years of victims of communism. It is fitting that the memorial itself is a replica of the Goddess of Democracy, which was erected by the students on Tiananmen Square as a beacon of hope before they were so brutally slaughtered by their own government. Indeed, this is the hallmark of communistic governments, which is the peacetime mass killing of their own citizens. It is estimated that the former Soviet Union under Stalin committed 20 million such killings, and that the Chinese Communist Party under Mao committed 65 million of such killings. This would include people who were killed in the Cultural Revolution, the Great Leap Forward, also people who've died in the Laogai system of forced labor camps, and the repression of Tibetans, Uyghurs, and the Falun Gong. And yet, even this 100 million number is dwarfed by another hidden number, a number that heretofore has not really been considered to be part of the victims of communism. It is a hidden category of victims, the victims of China's one-child policy. Women's Rights Without Frontiers has learned that a woman in Shaanxi province, China, was forcibly aborted just last week. Feng Jianmei was 7 months pregnant when family planning officials came to her, demanded a fantastically high fine of 40,000 RMB, and when they couldn't pay, they dragged her into a vehicle, strapped her down to a table, and forcibly aborted her child at 7 months, then laid that child next to her in the bed. Feng Jianmei is not alone. The Chinese Communist Party estimates that it has prevented 400 million lives through the one-child policy. Every one of those 400 million snuffed out lives is a victim of communism. So instead of seeing 100 million people who died under communism, it should be 500 million if you include the deaths that are part of the one-child policy. Affecting 1.5 billion people, or 1 in every 5 women in the world, the coercive enforcement of China's one-child policy causes more violence against women and girls than any other official policy on earth and any other official policy in the history of the world. In the following ways. Number 1, forced abortion is violence against women. It happens up to the 9th month of pregnancy, and sometimes these procedures are so violent that the women themselves die along with their full-term babies. Number 2, forced sterilization. Number 3, infanticide is officially practiced in China. Number 4, because of the traditional preference for boys, girls are selectively aborted. And there are estimates that there are between 100 million and 200 million women missing in the world today because of gendercide. In the case of China, because of gendercide, there are now an estimated 37 million more men living in China today than women. And what this gender imbalance is doing is it is driving human trafficking and sexual slavery, not only in China, but from the surrounding countries as well. And finally, China has the highest female suicide rate of any country in the world. It is the only country in which more women than men kill themselves. In the Chinese countryside, 3 times the number of women as men kill themselves. According to the World Health Organization, 500 women a day end their lives in the nation of China. The one-child policy is causing a slow-motion demographic disaster. Not only is there a destabilizing gender imbalance, but also the population problem in China is not that China has too many people, but that China has too few young people to support its rapidly aging population. Why then does China continue to implement this policy? I believe that China's one-child policy is the glue that is keeping the regime in place. It is social control masquerading as population control. The Chinese Communist Party wields forced abortion as an instrument of terror. The Chinese population control police are domestic terrorists, and forced abortion is official government rape. They use terror, the terror of the one-child policy, to keep the population down. The infrastructure of population control coercion can be aimed in any direction to crush dissent. Use of a system of paid informants to identify illegally pregnant women tears at relationships of trust. And if you cannot trust anyone, you cannot organize for democracy. The true spirit of communism is most clearly seen in the faces of the population control police as they drag women away, beat them, strap them down to tables, and force them to abort babies that they want up to the 9th month of pregnancy. Whether China will turn and become a free democratic nation, or whether China will continue down the path of totalitarian destruction, is the greatest issue of the 21st century and has vast implications for our national security. Supporting democracy in China should be among the highest priorities of the leaders of the free world. Thank you.
I'd like now to call upon Congressman Andy Harris of Maryland. And there are many reasons why we're so pleased to have him here, and that is, among them, is the fact, I believe, that your parents were in the Gulag. And so Congressman Harris can speak truly and sincerely from his heart about what this project of ours and what our campaign is all about. Congressman Harris.
Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to be here with the foundation. As the introduction suggested, yes, my parents both escaped communism in Eastern Europe. My mother from the Ukraine, where of course millions of Ukrainians were starved in a forced famine. My father from Hungary, where after he had spent 2 years in the Gulag. And fortunately for the Harris family, we're not one of the 100 million people who died under communism. But there are 100 million people who died and continue to die under communism even till today. So I'm honored to be here with you today. I'm honored to be with Secretary Rumsfeld, of course, and thank him for the work he's done in protecting the world from communism and helping win the Cold War. But the job is not over. As we know, communism still exists in the world. It still kills millions of people. And as you have heard, free people around the world should join to defeat communism. Thank you very much.